to order. If everybody doesn't mind, if you'd like to make the appropriate move, and we can begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending this meeting. I'd just like to remind everybody that this meeting is recorded, and you can see it on Facebook Live, or you can see it at the RCS 137 YouTube channel, and it's also going to be posted on the RCS 137 website. If we could do a roll call, please. And when you do the roll call, if I could just remind everybody that you must state your name and how you are attending the meeting, whether it's in person or via remote.
Andy Graham.
Present, remote.
John Brotherton.
Present, remote.
Bill Sweat.
Present, remote.
Mark Keys. Joan Fitzgerald. Joe Robinson. And Sandra Ulott.
Present, remote.
Did we get a response from Joe?
Yeah, let's try to get Joe to respond.
Hey, Joe, we need for you to respond whether you're present and how you are attending the meeting. You're currently on mute. Oh, his screen's froze.
And I'd like to also document that Bill, you are not remote. You're present here at our office. So, I mean, it feels.
Okay, I'm both present and remote.
I know, it feels like you're remote because we're all kind of remote, but you're here.
Mr. Robinson.
Hey, Joe, can you hear us? Hey, Joe, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you need to announce whether you're present and how you're attending the meeting.
Present, remote.
Okay,
Action screwing up.
that's okay. All righty, it looks like we have at least a quorum, so we can go on and conduct this meeting. Also, too, I'd just like to remind all the board members that all action taken today, we must do in a roll call vote. Okay, lastly, well, actually, we can move on to item number 2, which is an action item. It's the agenda approval. And has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes for the meeting today? I mean, the agenda for the day. And the only recommendation is to remove item number 23 and 24. Any board member that has any questions or would like something else to remove, they can say it now. If not, then would someone care to make the motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended, removing closed session items number 23 and 24.
Okay, the motion was made by Ms. Ulott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Robinson. And then we'll need a roll call vote, please.
That was me, Bill.
Okay.
Graham.
Oh, sorry, Joe. I mean, Andy Graham, sorry. Seconded by Andy.
All right, thanks. Andy Graham.
Aye.
Ulott.
Aye.
Brotherton.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. The motion carries and the agenda has been approved as amended. Moves us on to item number 3, which is public comments. We did not have any today. So we're going to move on to item number 4, it's consent agenda items. The items on the consent agenda are the board meeting minutes for January 21st, 2021, open minutes. B, the bills and treasury report. Within that treasury report for the board members, there was a comparison provided. We also have the comparisons are the cash analysis report year to date cash analysis report year to anticipated end of year. And so if anybody has a chance to review this, any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, then would someone care to make a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Before the motion, Bill, I'd just like to say thank you for the presentation or the PowerPoint that we got from Kendra and Michelle. That answered my question perfectly from last month. So it looks like we have some considerable savings this year. So that is, there's one good thing that's going on. That is that, I guess. So.
Anybody else care to make a comment? If not, then would someone care to make the motion? Then I'll go on and make a motion to approve the consent agenda items. Also includes ratification of bills prepaid by the finance manager under board policy 450. Anyone care to second?
I'll second.
Was that Mr. Brotherton?
Yes.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Brotherton. And then we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Ulot,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. And that's unanimous, motion carries, and everything's been approved. Moves us on to item number 5, but we didn't move anything from the consent agenda. So we're gonna go on to number 6. We have a Black History Month presentation by Dr. Woods.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. This is an easy and a fun one for me to get to share with you. You may remember that after at the November board meeting, we talked about Hispanic Heritage Month, which is celebrated in our district. That takes place in September/October. This year, it's very interesting. We've had a huge amount of work being done by our staff in our district to celebrate Black History Month. And what's been really nice to see this year is that we have been able to collaborate a lot more. We are sharing information and presentations between schools, sharing information, I know at Ader across grade levels. So in a typical year, a student might only experience one thing that they would do with their classroom teacher. And I really feel that this year our kids are really getting a lot of exposure to Black history. So these are some information slides that were put together, and I just wanted you to have them to look at to see some of the different things, but certainly not everything that is happening in each school. And so you may have seen some of these posts on social media. The one thing I do want to say on behalf of our staff and our students, because I know there's a lot of feeling about this out there, which is that the goal is always that African-American history and Hispanic history are threaded throughout our curriculum and throughout the school year, and not just during any one month. But this is a great opportunity for us to share many of the different things that we are doing in our community. We even got picked up by the News Gazette for 2 different articles. And so we've done World Read Aloud Day in the past, and this year it coincided with Black History Month. And this is one of our classes. You can see how excited the kids are. I'm being sarcastic there. They don't look very excited in the photo. But Miss Thompson, our speech therapist, is reading a book aloud to the entire school. And then this was my favorite picture. It got picked up in the News Gazette last week of a student at KJ, I think is his name, at Pleasant Acres. And I think that photo epitomizes what we want our kids to experience. And that is just excitement about learning and also learning Black history in Black History Month. So at this point, does anyone have any questions? This is a real simple presentation just to make you aware of some of the different things that we're doing.
Does any board members have any questions or comments?
Thank you for sharing that information. It's great to see all the different schools doing different stuff. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sandra, anyone else care to make comment? Then if not, then Dr. Woods, we thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. I am you're going to introduce the next thing. I'm trying to move over the other folks who are going to be helping present. So just, you can go ahead, Mr. Sweat, but I need a moment.
Okay. This moves us on to item number 7, and we'll just take a moment for Scott, Mr. Woods, to transfer everybody over. But it's an action item, and it's for the Social Equity Working Group, the recommendations to the board, and it'll be Dr. Woods and certain committee members doing the presentation. So please bear
And
with us.
the folks in the Social Equity Working Group, they know how great I am at this part of when we have our meetings and trying to manage all of this. So hopefully I'm getting everybody over. Matthias, are you over? I keep thinking I'm moving you. Okay.
Now I am.
Okay. And Ryan, I know not all of you are talking, but I want you all to be able to, that are a part of the 2 groups that are presenting tonight, to be able to answer questions. Okay. I think I've got everybody. If I don't, you guys let me know, okay? Here we go. Well, I'm going to do the introduction, but we have quite a few folks who are here to present. And it looks like, based on our attendance, we have a lot of these folks here in the meeting on the attendee side. We have had a really good turnout of community members and staff members and parents who are meeting weekly. Some folks on here have not missed a meeting, and each person is a part of at least one committee group within the Social Equity Working Group. And you're going to hear from 2 groups today. So real quick, some background is that the Social Equity Working Group was approved by you all on September 17th. RCS families and community members were invited to participate via a survey that was sent out in English and Spanish. We first started meeting on November 5th, and so far we've had 10 formal meetings. I am really grateful that all of these volunteers are sticking with us. I don't know that anyone thought it would be 10 meetings, and we might have 10 more, and everyone seems really committed to doing the work that we need to get done. Just so the board members are aware, we have a website that we use. It's right there that has all of our agendas and notes, and whenever possible, other documents that we're using, because we want to make sure that we are being transparent in our process. Those were the contributors. And so one of the nice things that the group wanted to do was identify, what is the purpose of the group beyond just what was written in the document that you approved in September, because that was a lot of information. So, what is it really we want to focus on? And I'm going to at least read the goal here. The Social Equity Working Group and Rantoul City Schools will present actionable solutions to the Board of Education to create a culture within the district and community that promotes and values all students' equity, specifically students who have been historically underserved. And that's what we're here to do to start with tonight, is to present to you some of those actionable steps that we want to see. So there are 5 groups that are all contributing to this mission towards equity: academic achievement, disciplinary practices, family and community leadership, staff recruitment and retention, and cultural humility. You're going to hear from 2 of these groups tonight. Each group will present their work. We've asked them to create a kind of a summary, make some general recommendations, and then each group has a statement that would be a board action item, the thing you actually vote on. So as I said, this evening, 2 of the 5 groups will present. The board will be asked to take action on all requested action items following the presentations of all 5 groups. Obviously, as a board, you could choose to just approve everything as you get it. But the intent at this point is once all 5 groups are together, we would bring you all of the action item recommendations to approve at one time. All right, so tonight we have disciplinary practices and family community leadership. Before I move on, do any of the board members have any questions before I let Matthias? No, the first one is Emily or Marky. Who's presenting the first group?
I am. Emily is.
Emily is. Okay, so in the meeting tonight, I know Marky is here, Michael Johnson, who is a community member, Ryan O'Connor, community member and parent, and Emily Stratton. Emily and Marky are both staff members. I didn't see DeAndre on, but many of you know DeAndre is a staff member in our district. So I'm not turning it over to Matthias. I am turning it over to Emily. I did ask a moment ago, do any board members have questions at this point? Okay.
I guess no one has any questions at this time.
All right. All right. So I'm going to mute. Oops. Emily, take it away. I promised Emily that you would all be nice. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Emily.
Alrighty. Good evening, everyone. So like Dr. Wood said, my name is Emily Stratton, and I am the school social worker at East Lawn. And so I'm here today speaking on behalf of the disciplinary practices subgroup of the social equity working group. And I'm speaking on behalf of my co-group members, Marky Gentry, DeAndre Green, Michael Johnson, and Ryan O'Connor. All right, go ahead, Dr. Woods. All right, so go back one more, please, the other way. There we go. All right, so in our district, in RCS, like most districts, when a student violates the code of conduct, a staff member will write an office disciplinary referral to record the infraction and to notify the school administrator. During the 18-19 school year and the first half of the 19-20 school year, so 2 years ago in the first half of last year, staff throughout the school district submitted a total of 6,625 office disciplinary referrals. I'm just going to refer to them as referrals from here on out. So the graph on the right of the screen shows the racial ethnic makeup of these referrals. So 20% of referrals were given to students identified as white, 14% to Latinx students, 14% to multiracial students, and 50%, half of the referrals written during that time period, were given to our Black students. The graph on the left shows the racial ethnic makeup of our district's entire student population. So in our entire district, 28% of the population is identified as white, 29% is Latinx, 14% multiracial, and only 27% of our students are identified as Black. So as you can see, our Black students make up only a quarter of our student population, yet they receive half of the referrals written by staff members. So this statistic was very troubling to our group, and we would like to suggest some strategies to alleviate the racial inequity present in RCS's current disciplinary procedures in order to improve long-term outcomes for our Black students. So many of the reasons a student can receive a referral can be vague and are left to the staff member's discretion. So take the example of the violation called disruption, defiance, or disrespect, which is an increasingly frequent referral, as you can see on the graph on the left, that is seen by administrators. And all 3 of the words present in this referral can be subjective and are often reactionary. With no specific definition for staff members to reference when considering a referral, what is disruption or defiance is left totally up to the interpretation and may be a factor explaining why our Black students receive half of the district's referrals. Staff members may be displaying an implicit bias against our Black students and assigning them more of these referrals compared to their peers. If there were clear definitions describing these violations, there would be less up to interpretation by staff members. Referrals could become less qualitative and more quantitative, using data and evidence to support them. This will hopefully make racial bias less likely to impact how frequently our Black students are being disciplined, and which would lead to improved relationships between these students and staff and to better long-term outcomes for our Black students. So you can go to the next slide, Dr. Woods. So our recommendations are that the district provides specific definitions for all of the subjective violations, especially the most common violation of defiance, disrespect, and disruption, and that these definitions be present in the staff and student code of conduct. We'd also like to see staff be required to participate in necessary training to combat implicit biases at least once a semester. And then our other recommendation is that at the building level, the schools conduct quarterly meetings to review disciplinary data, looking for instances of inequitable referrals and seek why that inequity may exist. And then we'd also like to see that data reviewed on a district level at least once a year by a team that includes outside stakeholders. So our specific actions that we're recommending that the board take is that we request that the board direct the superintendent to develop specific definitions for frequent subjective disciplinary violations, such as defiance, disrespect, and disruption, for use beginning with the 21-22 school year. The other specific request we have for the board is that the board directs the superintendent to ensure that buildings conduct a quarterly meeting to evaluate and mitigate possible instances of inequitable discipline practices, and establish a district-wide team that includes outside stakeholders to examine progress towards mitigating inequitable practices to meet at least annually. We had recommended that the board require implicit bias training for staff, but another subgroup within the social equity working group is working on that request as well. So a formal request for that recommendation will be forthcoming in the future. Does anyone, do you want me to ask about questions now, Dr. Woods? Or
Yeah, you did great, Emily. So thank you. This would be a good time to pause and see if the board has questions. And as I said earlier, 4 people from Emily's group are on right now. And so any one of them might chime in to answer your questions.
Any board members have any questions?
Yeah, I do, Bill, if I can.
Sure.
So, hey, Emily, good job on this. Do you have any specific, I guess, definitions that you might suggest to the superintendent? Because some of my biggest problems as we've gone on in years is the defiance, disrespect, and disruption of the classrooms that have gone on by all the kids. So that's something that and a lot of it has gone unpunished. So what would be something that you would say would be a disciplinary action for somebody that did commit defiance, disrespect, or disruption?
Yeah, and anyone in the group can jump in. We're not necessarily saying that it shouldn't be a referral option at all. We would just like it to be more specific and more kind of quantitative. Like we didn't have specific definitions that we created as a group. We were gonna let Ms. Ramage decide who would create those definitions. Does anyone in the group have anything to add? Or Dr. Woods, do you have anything to add? Did I answer your question?
I mean, somewhat. I mean, like I said, I mean, discipline's big on me within our schools. I mean, I don't like when we remove a whole class because we have a kid tearing it up and flipping desk over and stuff of that nature. And we need to get a handle on that. We need to have less instances of that. And I'm all for training our staff and or administrators and board members and whoever else, community members, on how we get to that point. And so if this is going to help us, then I'm all in favor of it. If it's not, then we need to look at the drawing board.
Well, Ryan O'Connor here. Speaking as a teacher for the past 15 years, somebody who has unfortunately written his fair share of very subjective
referrals over the course of time. I think the more you kind of like learn and study about how these reactionary disciplinary referrals, the effect that they actually have on the classroom, you see that those referrals actually have a tendency to escalate the problem rather than de-escalate the problem.
Because if you're
responding from the instance of, well, I'm mad right now, so I'm writing this referral, I need to get this kid out of there, you're establishing a relationship with that student, and you're also showing that student, anytime that student is upset,
they've got an easy way to get themselves out of the classroom. They've got an easy escape. When you're looking at how you can, again, with the implicit bias that we're suggesting that other groups are kind of bringing in as well, is how can you meet that student's needs without it having to escalate yourself, the teacher, to the point of having to write a referral, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand that totally. I mean, if we can get away from writing referrals and the bad behaviors are gone, then I think that's what everybody that's in your group and our group is. I think that's the goal, right? I mean, is to not be putting out referrals, and we have good functioning classrooms. I think that's the end game, if I'm thinking right.
Yeah, I would say that's, I don't think you're in disagreement with the group at all on that. I think their identification was that, I think if we go back a couple slides here, so defiance, disruption, disrespect referrals are approaching. So that's one type of referral category. That's not three different types, is approaching 50% of all the discipline referrals. So we're addressing the issue of, let's look at, that's the most frequent thing. And the board members remember when we started talking about physical behaviors a few years back and really putting emphasis on that, we were able to bring that percentage down. But at the same time, it's almost half of the referrals are defiance, disruption, and disrespect. And who's getting those referrals? It is very disproportionately African-American kids. So it's two parts. It's identifying what do we mean by that behavior, and then working with our teachers, all of our staff on, and that's what we mean by the implicit bias training, which is making sure that we are not reacting to the student because of who the student is, and we are more so reacting, hopefully being proactive to the situation that we have in front of us. So, I mean, that's, I think, a lot more of what the discussions have been. I know I've talked with Mrs. Ramage about the recommendation. I think the plan is when we say the board directs the superintendent, I hope the board knows what that means. It does not mean that Mrs. Ramage is going to sit down and write these definitions and give them to the teachers. That's not what that means. Also, so we've already talked about some of the folks in this discipline group within the equity group are going to probably be continuing to work on some of that, and we want to bring in more of our staff, behavior specialists, social workers, psychologists, to also work on this.
I have a
Thanks.
question to ask.
Okay, Sandra.
So what, and I'm just saying, what if we come up with definitions for, I would say, the 3 Ds, and everyone is in agreement with them? What are we going to do if that inequity continues, if it just gets worse for our African American students? I mean, what are we going to do then?
That's
Has anyone thought about that? I mean, I know we're trying to make things better, but if we, I don't know, it's just a whole disturbing scenario, I mean, it really is.
I think a lot of that, to avoid that and to find out, comes from the training. I like the training topic that they talked about. So we don't have that biased attitude towards students. I'm not going to say just African American students, but all
Right.
students, just to understand and to be more empathetic to some of the things they're dealing with on a daily basis, some things that you and I have no idea of what they're dealing with at home, which may cause some of these
Right.
just disruptions in the class.
Right.
And
Okay.
I'll also add that that's part of the reason why we added that second request item to review the data every quarter so that we can continue to monitor, is this working? Is this not working? What do we need to do different? So that we can make sure that we're still, it's not just one and done, that we're continuing to do the work.
Okay.
And as Dr. Woods already mentioned, a few years ago, we focused a lot on those physical behaviors and put a lot of things in place and worked on that. And so we need to be just as proactive and working on the 3Ds, which has now kind of risen to the top as a concern. So, and it is not in any way to say that we're not going to discipline for that. So that is not at all the direction that the committee or that I'm hearing from the committee. It is, let's define it so that everybody knows what we're talking about. And then let's put some time into looking at the data. And then the last one is that professional development about implicit biases, which we really don't have that as an item tonight, because I think that's coming with another group, right? Hand in hand, because it does overlap, which is great that a lot of these things overlap. So I just want to make it clear, this is not something for us to say, oh, it'll be okay for a child to misbehave in class. That's not the intent, I don't believe, of anybody on the committee. But we have a lot of work to do, just like we did when we had a lot of work to do and continue to do with the physical behaviors that were the highest concern or greatest concern at the time 3 years ago.
I've got one question, if you don't mind. Now, it's my understanding, maybe it's a misconception, but or misperception, but I thought that we had various different intervention strategies that we used to use to help with the students' behavior. And I thought part of that strategy with those intervention strategies was to kind of help recognize maybe some implicit bias, so that we can actually focus on the actual behavior of the kid, and then or the student, and then issue appropriate disciplinary action as necessary. So are we still going to be using the different intervention strategies in addition to this?
Yes.
Okay.
And hopefully more different types of intervention strategies too.
Okay.
We have to figure out what works for every kid. And there's a lot out there. So.
Yeah, but one
and
size doesn't fit all.
Ryan, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to just say is, speaking of intervention strategies, that's kind of like more the autopsy when it has already happened. Now we're talking more about like the physical. How can we prevent some of these before they even occur? I think that's kind of where we're going with some of when we're thinking through some of our action items.
And we have done, you're right. We have done some training and we've done some discipline, we do a lot of conscious discipline. We have not done any implicit bias training extensively. We've done pockets of things here and there, but it needs to be a district-wide effort. And just because we have some interventions doesn't mean we can't always use more interventions. And Ryan's right. We need to be proactive before we could. So hopefully we don't have to get to the intervention stage. So I just want to make sure you understand that we're not losing conscious discipline. A lot of those things go hand in hand, but we need more. There's more training that can be provided to help us in these scenarios.
Any other board members have any questions? If not, then Dr. Woods, are you still going on with your presentation?
Yes. All right. Hey, Michael, Ryan, Marky, and where'd you go, Emily? You don't have to stay in this part of the meeting if you don't want. You have the option to move back to the attendee side, or do I need to do that?
You'll probably have to move her.
I can't do it. Huh. Oh, there we go. In Lindsay Inksterhouse, did I move you over inadvertently? I think I did.
Yeah, she's there.
Yes, you did.
All right, I'm gonna move you over to the other room here just a second. Oh gosh, I can't figure it out. All right, we're just gonna go on. Lindsay, you're fine. Just hang out there. So the next group to present is a much smaller group. It is Matthias, and who is a teacher at East Lawn, and Becky Baumfleth, who is a teacher at Ader. And I am not going to talk anymore. Take it away, Mr. Matthias.
So I did have a question for Dr. Woods. Is this our the revised one, or is this the original one that we got that we sent back the new draft?
Yeah, it should be the new draft.
Okay, perfect. Sweet.
Well, we'll see.
Okay, because I practiced this one, but I also have it pulled up. So if it's better for me to share my screen, I have it pulled up. So
okay, well, if it's the wrong one, then we can switch. Okay. I know Matthias can do this. He teaches kindergarten in 2 languages, and that's not easy to do. So, and remote and live at the same time. Okay. Here we go. This is what it should be, right?
Okay, awesome. So a lot of us in these different groups are talking about very similar things, or things that have a similar cause. So for example, we have our hiring and retention group, which is trying to get our staff to reflect more the demographics of our community. We have our implicit biases group, which is our implicit biases side of things, where we're trying to address maybe some of the misconceptions or some of the ideas that people might have subconsciously that affect how we discipline students, or affect maybe how we track students' academic progress. And a lot of these things have to do with the difference between our staff and the community we serve. So in assessing what could be some barriers that we have between understanding our community and the relationships we build with them, is we did take a look at these demographics. So here, this is not this is the original one, but here we see the demographics of our students, which we see that we work in a majority minority community. We only have about 28% of our students who identify as white, versus where we have our teaching staff, it is upwards of 80%, almost 90% of our teaching staff is white. So that kind of goes hand in hand with what other parts of the groups are doing. We need to address some of the implicit biases that come with having a staff that does not reflect our community. And then we are also trying to do the hiring process of trying to switch them out. Our group is trying to approach the same thing, but in a different aspect. So our group is trying to bring the community into the school, and to create leadership opportunities for community members and parents. So this goes hand in hand with the implicit bias training and with the hiring, as it's all kind of addressing the same issue of how can we create a district that is more representative of our community. And all of these things are connected, right? Because the racial, cultural, and economic demographics that our staff has that differ from our students makes it so that we do have a different understanding of things. So we do not have the same lived experience as our students. So some of the things we talked about is looking at the cause of these behaviors, and why some of these discipline behaviors why some of these disciplinary actions might be happening, and if this is bias, or maybe this is something going on with the student that is not necessarily that has something to do with something going on at home. But all of these things are things that makes it harder for us to understand and to act on, because a lot of us as teachers and administration in the district do not have these experiences of growing up in the same conditions and raising children in the same conditions that our community members do. So I think that makes it really hard. And hiring and implicit bias is going to be wonderful in this, but a key aspect that we can start now is to start bringing in community members and parents into the school to let us know what is the issues that they're seeing and how we can address them. So one of the things that we need to do is create clear lines of communications with parents where they can have an open forum where they can share their ideas of how we might do this, and how we might, or the issues we are having and how we might address them. And that the social equity working group, one of our priorities is to create these connections with the community and to empower families. And the social equity group is like a large version of what community groups would look like inside of each school. So potentially, my proposition would be to create a social equity group, a social equity working group within each one of our schools. So could we actually go to the next slide? Maybe the next one. Actually, no. Okay, it's fine. We can go to the one before this. So so one of the things that we are suggesting is that we create these social equity working groups within each school, so that the work that we're seeing here, where parents and community members are able to say, okay, we need to talk about implicit bias, we need to talk about hiring practices, we need to talk about community leadership, all of these things that were brought up by parents, staff, and community members in the social equity working group. This is the type of progress that we would be able to see within each individual school. And an example of this already exists. So we have the Bilingual Parents Advocacy Committee between East Lawn and Pleasant Acres. And this is a group that meets with parents for them to address issues or things that they want to change, discuss how they're going to change it, parents to have a direct connection to the school and how they can get involved. As well as that group particularly has our bilingual parents. So there are some additional components of migrant rights, the rights of bilingual students to access education. So the social equity working group and the bilingual parents action committees are actually going to be something that we can model these groups after, because these groups, similar groups already exist in our district. And the work that they're doing is very good. In Pleasant Acres and East Lawn, the work that they've been able to do in engaging families has been really good. They've been able to get a lot of parent involvement. They've been able to put on, for example, we put on our Hispanic Heritage Month and had a huge turnout. Parents were able to organize amongst themselves to figure out how we're going to get food, how we're going to cater food, how we're going to have presentations, how we're going to have, how we're going to organize all of these different things, decorations, everything. So really the parents were able to pull together and be the leadership role in that. So from that, we have parents who are still taking that leadership role in the Bilingual Parent Advocacy Committee, and they have like taken a leadership role in the RCS bilingual program. So in the same way, our goal would be that these groups within each school will kind of serve the same purpose. Parents can come and have these open discussions. We can address how we might resolve them, and that they would take these leadership roles in our school. So not only are we listening to the parents, but that we're actually, they are part of the leadership, our senior leadership committees within the schools, and they have influence in our administration. So a key component of that is what is on this slide, what is actually on this slide. And this is going to be creating a survey. So if we want to create these groups within each school, it's just like Ms. Stratton just told us. If we are going to be taking these actions, then there needs to be a component of accountability. How is it actually working? So one option with that for that would be to do a regular survey. And this survey would be something that particularly is probing some key aspects. So we want to know in this survey, how is families' knowledge and confidence with accessing and navigating the school system? Do they feel like they know where to go to access the resources they need? Is it a welcoming and culturally responsive school climate? This is something that I believe will change with the groups, because the parents will have that advocacy within the school and have a place where they know they can go to make a request for something that they need, or to go talk to somebody about an issue that they have. And then another example would be how family and parent decision making and influence is going in our schools. So ideally, if these groups are going well, then when we do these surveys, we'll see that these different data points are going up. Parents feel that they have more decision making. They feel that it is a culturally responsive school. They know how to navigate our systems and how to request the resources that they need. So those two things go hand in hand. So our two recommendations would be, one, to create these school level working groups. And the second one would be to administer the survey. So particularly the actual language we have here is the board directs the superintendent to conduct an annual survey beginning the year 2021 to 2022 for families, students, and staff to evaluate school and the district climate, as well as to identify areas of community engagement. And this will be a measure for those community working groups. So the second and the main one would be, the board directs the superintendent to establish building-based community working groups to meet at least quarterly, beginning in the 2021 to 2022 school year. And something that we did not add here, but potentially I would love to come back and speak on this, would be to create a stipend position for a parent organizer in each school. So this would be a commitment from the district to this initiative, to involving our parents more inside of each of our schools, as well as it would be a way to honor the work that that parent is doing in organizing parents in their district. And that's really all I have. I would also like to thank the board for creating this group and allowing us to come here and speak on this, and those first beginning steps that are so important, and getting out here and having these difficult conversations. So I really appreciate you for that.
And thank you, Matthias and Becky. If there, I feel bad because I think I must have gotten your wrong slides in here. So if there's something new we need to bring back next month, we'll bring it back, okay? Are there any questions from the board for Matthias or Becky?
Board members, you have any questions? I can't see everybody's faces, so I can't see if anyone's nodding or shaking their heads.
I'd just like to thank all of them for all of the work that they put into this so far. I know it's a tough topic, and I appreciate all the time and effort you guys are putting into it. Thank you so much.
Okay, Sandra, anyone else?
I wanted to say pretty much the same thing as Sandra said, is I appreciate the hard work that you guys are putting into this. A lot of things that, a lot of change is going to occur, you know, by asking those hard questions and taking a real look at some solutions to some of these problems.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
You know, I want to throw one thing in, because Matthias talked about the BPAC. And that is a good example, because we're required to do that as part of our Title III grant. And how we do it, it doesn't have to be just a box that we check. And it has taken, I think, Patricia Valente, who's one of the bilingual coordinators, a good amount of time and a lot of work to get our parents in that group to the point where they're comfortable leading the group. And so you know, if we really want it to be parent and community led, that does take time. It's probably not going to get there next year. But we have to create opportunities for our families and our community members to be engaged in the conversations about the schools. And I see Mr. Keys has joined the meeting. I think you just got here, right? Good. Okay.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you.
Mr. Keys, we're on item number 7, which is a social equity working group presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
Scott, can I ask a question? So I had in our board packet.
Oh, there was more.
there are two more, I
Yep.
thought.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Why I'm not in charge yet, Mrs. Ramage. Okay.
But you kind of jumped the gun because I was going to ask you if you wanted to continue on with your presentation.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I was planning to. Thank you. All right. So there are a couple general things that it's my job to share. These did not fit under the 5 groups, but we are interested in there's 3 things up there at the top. But basically, we want to relook at the district's mission statement and kind of recenter our mission for our district to include a commitment to equity. We would like permission to move forward with drafting a statement of support and commitment for our marginalized student populations. And then the last one is I think this one will be easy for you in the long run, is we want to make the Social Equity Working Group a standing committee for next year also. And so those 2 action items would be to draft a new mission statement and a statement of support, as well as the acknowledgement that, the board wants us to continue as a group for 1 more year, at least. Okay, so those are 2 things additionally. So I think altogether there were 7 action items, but we are not asking you to approve them tonight, unless you all say, yeah, let's just do it. But usually I think you like to wait 1 meeting.
Well, she put it on the agenda as an action item, so that'll be up to the board.
I always do that just in case. It doesn't mean you have to, but I always do that just in case you're really excited and you want to go ahead and approve that. But that is up to the board.
So any board members have any questions for Dr. Woods at this time? No? Well, then I'd like to thank Dr. Woods and the members of the Social Equity Group for doing the presentation. You've given us a lot to think about, and I'm for it, but like I said, we have to bring it before the rest of the board members to see what's going on. Any other board members have any questions, comments?
I don't have a problem moving forward. Shall I?
I guess I just need to move forward, clear definition on everything we're moving forward on. I mean, was it just that last slide that Scott you showed us? Are we moving on with a little bit of everything from each group?
It's the 7 things that I have in your board packet on your agenda. Those are the 7 items. So the board can decide if they want to pick some or all of them or wait till next month. Scott, do you agree?
Yeah, that was the plan. I mean, if you want to say, yeah, go ahead, get started tomorrow, you can do that right now. But I also, I've explained to the group that, you may be interested in seeing all of it together at one time. We weren't prepared to give you all 5 groups tonight. And I think that would have been a little much anyway.
So,
But if you were talking about coming forward as early as June with some stuff, I mean, it's already February, so.
well, for the board members, just be specific, there are 7 items that they are asking for us to consider this evening. The first one is, of course, the mission statement. So they want it to be centered on equity and the statement of support and a commitment for marginalized students and populations. The second thing is they would like to continue the social equity working group for the next school year. So that's the 2021 to 2022 school year. They also would like for to develop specific definitions for frequent disciplinary violations, such as the 3 Ds: defiance, disrespect, and disruption. And they want to use that. They want to have developed by the 21 to 22 school year, so they can implement those. Also, too, they want during building staff meetings, they would like to have quarterly evaluate and mitigate possible instances of inequitable discipline practices. They also would like to have a district-wide team to include stakeholders to examine progress mitigating inequitable practices, and they would like for them to meet at least annually. Also, if I can remember the individual's name, because I'm terrible with names, I think it was Matthias.
Matthias, yeah.
Matthias, I'm sorry, Matthias. He mentioned that for the 2021-2022 school year, they'd like to conduct an annual survey of the families, students, and staff to evaluate the school and district climate, as well as identify areas of community engagement. And then, of course, he also mentioned that they would like to have establish a family and community working group, but it's based from each school that meet at least quarterly and at the beginning of the 2021-2022 school year. So those are these things that they are asking us to consider tonight, and it's listed on the agenda as an action item. So if the majority of the board feels that that they are ready to proceed and go on and approve these, we can. Or if you guys need a little bit more time to think about this, we can put it on the next meeting's agenda as an action item. So that way it gives us another month to think about it. What do you guys think?
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, the only thing I'm just want a little bit more clarification on, I guess, that I would have hesitations to is what the definitions in the disciplinary piece have. Everything else, I think I'm fine going forward, and I guess I just need a little bit clearer picture of what we're approving on the disciplinary piece.
We're not approving discipline. We're approving the definition.
What we're doing, we're approving them to proceed with developing definitions for those 3Ds.
Yeah.
Then we'll get to see those definitions first, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Isn't that right, Dr. Woods?
But so is the group writing the definitions, or is Dr. Woods and Michelle writing the definitions? I guess that's where I'm
actually what's going to happen is even though our superintendent is accountable for everything, she's definitely going to delegate it. And I think they mentioned it earlier in the presentation that it's going to be a combination of teachers, social workers, and other individuals to come up with after reviewing everything, coming up with the definitions for each of the 3Ds.
I think,
Mr. Graham, I've already had several staff members contact me wanting to participate in that. And I know the 4 folks that presented tonight are interested in continuing to assist with that. And these would be working definitions. So it would lead to something like the language that we would have in the student handbook. And in the same way as the approval for a mission statement, you're not approving a new mission statement. You're basically directing the district administration to work on drafting a new one that you would still approve.
so we would still have to approve the definitions. We're just directing someone to work on those, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. The only thing that I would have a question about on these 7 is the G, the last one about the building-based family community working groups, where he said that he would like to see those, be a stipend position. And I think that's something that we might want to talk about a little bit, but I'm okay with if that's what that means. And I'm okay with everything else, though.
Well, that would be up to the superintendent to bring that to the board, since it's causing us to spend money. So, yeah.
I don't have a problem. I'm sure that the professionalism of Dr. Woods and Michelle Ramage, they would of course consult others before they ever began making any definitions. They are professionals.
Right.
I have no problem with any of it.
And then if I could, just to clarify that the stipend position that he brought up is not included at this time. He said he would bring that up at a different time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion.
Pardon?
I'll make a motion to approve the social equity working group recommendations as presented then.
Okay.
I second.
Ms. Ulott made the motion. Ms. Fitzgerald seconded. So we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brotherton,
No, the reason for that, I'd like to hear it all
before I make a decision on this. I'd like to wait till next month, but that I understand. I have no problems with anything really. But I'm just guessing old fashioned. I like to hear it all before I make a decision on all this. So that's the reason I'm voting no.
Okay.
Ulot,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, so it looks like we have what, 6 in favor, 1 abstain, I mean, and 1 nay. So the majority rules, so motion carries. So you guys are going to proceed and start drafting these things. Okay.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks. And presenters, I can't figure out how to kick you out without kicking you out for the whole night. But if you might have to quit, and then if you want to rejoin the webinar, you should be able to get right in.
Scott, I can take care of that, Scott. I'll kick him out.
You do it? Okay.
It's
I'll
Hotel
figure out
California. Okay, guys,
eventually.
Hotel California. Check in anytime you want, but you'll never leave. So you're stuck to the end.
All right.
I can move him to attendee, Scott. I got it.
And while he's doing that, I'd like to note that I think that Joan entered at about 6:55, maybe. And then I think, okay, and then Mark entered at about 7:20. So
Yes.
that should be reflected in the minutes, please.
That's what I have. Thank you.
And then if we're, and then since we're here, if Mark and Joan would please tell us how they are attending the meeting, so we can have it for the record.
This is Joan. I'm attending remotely.
Mark Keys attending remotely.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, this moves us on to item number 8. It's an action item, and it's continued reopening plans, and they will be presenting by Ms. Ramage.
Okay. All right, so we will go ahead and get started right on the page that says updated CDC when Scott can get there. So as many of you may have heard in the news that there was a specific CDC school guidance that came out on Friday. Love the Fridays, you know, that's when we get all the wonderful news.
That's dump day.
And I will admit that some of the information that they have in the CDC is confusing and conflicting at times. But I do think that there's a lot of good information. It will just take time. This is too soon, but it will take time to get, I guess, more. I don't know, to get more description of what this really means. So I will tell you that 6 feet social distancing was mentioned 25 times in the 33-page document. I did listen to a webinar already with attorneys present, not our attorneys, but school attorneys present, and they have warned that the stronger the language is regarding 6 feet social distancing, the more concern there is for liability, and that we should adhere to the 6 feet social distancing. That was sort of unexpected. It was not expected that the CDC would come out with emphasizing and re-emphasizing the 6 feet social distancing. In-person learning is recommended, but only when community transmission is low. In fact, the standard that CDC provides for community transmission as to when we can do in-person learning, if you read that information, about 90% of our country's schools would be closed. Schools are to prioritize 2 strategies. One is the masks and the other is 6 feet social distancing. They also threw in information on, they recommend you do what's called cohorting or podding to minimize that exposure. And that means you're keeping the same group of students together all day as much as you can. That is something that we do and that we do pretty well. In fact, even in our junior high this year, we've really stuck to that, where students stay in the room with the same teacher for the whole time. For the most part. I do know they go to PE, but those students pod together and they travel together. That's what podding is. CDC says that there is a lower incident of COVID amongst younger elementary children, and there's less risk of transmission in schools and elementary compared to middle school and high school. Next slide. Although the CDC has community transmission protocol, they state that schools shall be the last to close and only after all other mitigation measures in the community are used. So there's a big emphasis on schools being the priority. More information that they provided, I'm not going to read all that, on community transmission, that schools are to assess and reassess weekly. When schools have COVID testing, which we do, and we'll talk about that in a minute, along with key mitigation strategies such as masks and 6 feet, we can detect new cases to prevent outbreaks and reduce transmission. And in-person instruction is prioritized over extracurricular activities or sports, which they said are a common source of transmission. Next page, please. So here is our current enrollment, and I'm not reading all of that to you. I just would like to give you a summary on our enrollment numbers. Remember, we had about 150 students return to in-person for third quarter. It wasn't as big of a change as we were hoping for, but 150 more students did come back to in-person learning this quarter. We gave another chance for fourth quarter, and that deadline ends tomorrow for students to return from learn to in-person learning. There right now are 64 students who are interested in returning to in-person learning. Again, pretty low numbers. Because the numbers were so low, we have made opportunities for selected students based on need to attend school 4 days a week. So that's why you see the column of A day, B day, every day, that's the 4 day a week, and then learn, which are our full remote kids. So the percentages of students for in-person learning are, PA has 50% in-person learning, which is up 7%. JW Ader has 57%, Broadmeadow has 59%, Northview has 60, and Eastlawn has 65. So Ader and Eastlawn are down a tad, and the rest have had a 7% increase. So these numbers have not changed significantly since September as far as in-person learning. Next slide.
Hey, Michelle, before you proceed to the next slide,
Yes.
when you did on the CDC information,
Yes.
one thing I didn't see on there, and that is, did the CDC change their school ventilation guidelines for reopening?
I would have to go back and reread the 33 pages. So there wasn't a lot, I don't believe, on the ventilation, but they're very heavy on the more mitigation strategies you have in place, the safer your school is. We've known that. So we have done and put in place everything that we possibly can already. Okay. So yeah. All right, next slide, please. So I have some further updates, and this is from Champaign-Urbana Health Department, when we can get to that slide. So we have vaccinations 90 days after, 2 weeks after the second vaccination and up to 90 days after the vaccination. There's no quarantining for close contact needed. If you have symptoms, you need to test. But the best news that we got from the health department last week was that the negative results that we get from our antigen rapid testing is now acceptable. And that means they do not have to drive into town and go get a PCR test, which is a huge game changer for how we can use those tests. They have not been used very much because if it's negative, you still have to go get a PCR. So the majority of probably families and our staff just went ahead and got a PCR test instead of using our test. So the information written here is almost identical for students and staff as far as that negative or using those tests, the antigen tests that we have, except that students cannot test out early on day 7 to return on day 8. They must quarantine the whole 10 days. So if a student has a symptom, in the past, we would call a parent, and then the student and all of the siblings would go home. Because that's not our rule, that's how you're supposed to do it. That's the health department. So now we can call the parent, with permission, give the rapid test. In 15 minutes, we'll know if the child is positive or negative. And if it's negative, then only the symptomatic child goes home. That child still has to go home. If he or she has symptoms, they have to go home until those symptoms are clear. But all of the siblings don't move. Unless they have a symptom, all the siblings can stay. So that's a big change. And that is a very frustrating factor for our parents. So for our staff, this means if they wake up with a symptom in the morning, but they feel well enough to come to work, which, you know, many of us do that, and they don't think that they're contagious and they have no fever, they can come to school in the morning and get tested. And if they're negative, they can stay at work and work. That's their choice. You know, they're an adult, they have to make that decision. Sometimes they may come in and get a test, but they're too ill to come to work. But they would like to know right away, am I positive or not? And that's this is very helpful for us now. They don't have to drive into town and get a PCR test. Close contacts, they still have to quarantine, but staff can take the rapid test on day 7. They can take our test instead of the PCR test, and then they can return to work on day 8. Remember, students cannot return early. So we're hoping that this means overall less time away from school or from work for everyone, and a safer environment. I really think that we will find out sooner and be able to identify positive cases sooner. The sooner we can identify a positive case, the sooner we can put in our mitigation efforts for cleaning and close contact and help slow that spread. We will work on a video, if board approved, we will work on a video this weekend to update parents, to explain all of these changes that are for the better, and provide that consent form again to parents so that if they haven't already completed it, they'll have another opportunity. Questions about that? I probably should stop in between and ask if there's questions.
Anybody have any questions at this time?
Okay.
I can't see everybody, so is there screen?
All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay, meal distribution is the next slide. Again, meal distribution has been low all year, low and steady. So we've been at approximately 280 meals are picked up weekly. Our last meal distribution will be the week of May 17th. That's our last week of school. Breakfast will be provided at all summer programming, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Some summer programs, lunch will also be provided, such as Boys and Girls Club, ESY, which is a special ed summer school, JW8 summer school, and Dream Academies. And the last item on here is called Pandemic Electronic Benefits Transfer Program, PEBT benefits. So all these benefits will be given to all RCS families with remote learners. So all students qualify no matter their income, because we are a CEP, a community eligibility program. Everybody qualifies. It's not based on income. So what this means is if you have a remote learner, that parents will receive $6.82 per day per child for meals. It's extremely important for parents to understand that their child must be participating in school online to be counted present. If they are not showing up for learning and it's an unexcused absence, you know, because there are such things as excused absences even remotely, but if it's unexcused absence, then that will affect their dollars. They will not receive money for those days. Questions on that?
Anybody have any questions?
Okay.
Nope.
And we have some,
Michelle, I got one. Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Would that just be till the end of the school year then, and not continue on in the summer?
I do not believe it's summer, and it goes all the way back to the start of the school year. Yeah, for the whole year. So the first card that they receive in the mail will be, you know, from August until January, I believe, and then it'll be monthly for the next few months. I do not believe it's in the summer because it's based on attendance.
Right.
We're not taking attendance. Yeah. Yeah. Good question. All right. Next slide. Staff survey results. I'm not reading all of these results to you, but I'll just give you a very brief summary. Every question that the staff had, it was assumed, 2 assumptions. One was that teachers who chose to be vaccinated are vaccinated in these situations. So we're already pretending that we were all vaccinated who wanted to be vaccinated when they answered these questions. And that the assumption is that the state will continue to mandate remote learning as an option for parents for the rest of this year. So in brief summary, The neutral figures, so you can see on there where it's neutral. I did not include that number in my summary for you.
Hey,
So
Michelle, I'm
yeah.
sorry, I don't hate to interrupt you, but Zoom cut off just briefly. So a
Okay.
little bit of your presentation, we could not hear.
Is that true for everybody, or is that just?
Was that just for me?
It was just for you, Bill. I was able to hear everything.
All right, okay, I'm sorry.
All right. So, so 74% of our staff want 6-foot social distancing. 28% want all students to return 4 days a week, half days, just as we have now, when there's no guarantee of 6 feet. 15% want all students to return full days, 4 days a week, with no guarantee of 6 feet. And only 9% want to return to a normal school schedule, Monday through Friday, all day, if there is not a guarantee of 6 feet. So I don't imagine that these survey results will change drastically between now and the fall for staff, as we will still surely be mandated to have all remote learning. I provided to the board all the comments that staff made. All of this is anonymous. So of course, there are no names associated with any of those comments. We don't know the names unless you put them in there on your own. So if you read those comments, you can see how our staff and how many of our staff are very concerned about students being less than 6 feet. And if they're less than 6 feet, the spread of COVID creating classroom or building closures more often. That was repeated over and over again in the. Any questions about staff survey?
What was it 100% participation? What was the participation level of the staff on this?
Sure, it's a little over 2/3. It's historically, every time we do a survey, I get
We got some background noise. Somebody.
Yeah, Joan needs to be on mute. Can
I
somebody?
apologize, that was me.
That's all right.
Pretty historically in our surveys, no matter whether it's on calendar or something like this, I only get about 2/3 who respond. So correct, it's only about 2/3. So a little over 200 responded to this.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, if not, then Michelle, would you like to continue on?
Okay, so this is for board approval tonight. We have brought our board metrics to you more than once this year as we learn so much throughout the year about metrics and when to close a classroom or a building, which really means move to full remote. We do feel, since we've done a great job at the 6 feet, that we don't need as many metrics in place as we've had before. So we've narrowed them down to these. And I'm not going to read these word for word, but I'm going to summarize these. A move to full remote is necessary only in 3 possible situations. 2 or more active cases in 1 classroom. And even in that situation, it might only be an A day or a B day that goes home, depending on the situation for full remote. The second time for full remote move is if there are multiple cases in a building, and that's a determination made by myself and the building administration. Or the last one is a high rate of student or staff absences. And again, that would be determined by me and the principal. So when it is a staff classroom positive case, it's not an automatic move to full remote. We would do our close contact and see what the situation is. And hopefully most of the time there is no close contact and the class can stay in person. The whole idea is that we get the balance, wanting students to be in school as much as possible versus making sure that everybody is safe or feels safe. That's very important for our staff too, to feel safe. And we feel that these metrics kind of, I hope, do all of those things. Questions? And I did want to mention that IDPH defines an outbreak of 5 or more students. And for an outbreak, there has to be 5 or more students in 1 classroom, which we have never hit even close to that. But that is when the health department gets involved. The health department is aware of all of our positive cases. We communicate with each other on all of those. So they're aware if they are family situations or if there's more than one in a classroom. I do tell the health department when we are going to close a classroom or a building. They are aware. They generally, they will not make that decision for us. The only time that they would do that is if it's a definition of an outbreak or their recommendation like we had in November, which was cases were increasing. We are recommending you shut down. Questions on the metrics?
Any board members have any questions?
Michelle or Bill, would this be a time to talk about some of the stuff we've talked about over the last, well, few days with Michelle today, or would you want me to wait till the end?
Wait till the end, if you don't mind. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Me and Michelle talked about metrics today, so
Yes, we did.
I didn't know if you wanted to do that or just you want me to wait till the end and Bill on that too?
Yes.
Okay.
So we finish presentation.
Okay. The next slide is March 4th and 5th. So this is a recommendation also to the board tonight. Of the 2/3 of the staff who completed our vaccination survey, 163 say that they will be vaccinated. Another 63 plan to be vaccinated by the end of May. That is at 75% of our staff, but still that plan to be vaccinated or will be vaccinated, with 2/3 of the staff unknown. So with the 2/3 of the staff, so 75% of the staff. As you can see how important our staff feels it is to be vaccinated. We are concerned about the side effects of round 2 and its effect of keeping schools open. So due to the concern of the possible extreme possible extreme staff shortages, we are recommending to the board to have a full remote learning for March 4th and 5th. We are also concerned about illnesses developing even during the day. It's inconvenient to families to notify them last minute in the morning. Of course, we do realize that it is inconvenient for parents to have students not in person learning for 2 days. We do know that. We felt being proactive and announcing this in advance is less of an inconvenience rather than last minute or even during the middle of the day. Even then, we're a little bit concerned about having enough staff present to be able to run school. So if we go to full remote, these are learning days and we do know how to do this. We do know how to do full remote learning. So that's our recommendation for March 4th and 5th. Questions on that?
Anybody have any questions? Okay, if not, then Michelle, continue on.
All right, summer school. Please understand that the snapshot that we are providing on this slide tonight is very much a work in progress. Nothing is in stone. We are still working on these things. So as you can see, it is an intensified, robust summer plan. Some of the programs do overlap. That's hard to tell on this, but some of them do overlap. We are looking at maybe up to 500 students at 3 different buildings during the month of June. This takes an incredible amount of coordination with other agencies. You can see that we're working still with Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club, and we're continuing our work that's also expanding with the DREAM program. So it's relying a lot also on our own staff to fill so many of these positions after a very exhausting and challenging year. So why are our staff doing that? Because our staff understand that they need to step up, continue to step up, I guess, and because they know how necessary and important the summer program will be. Questions on summer program?
Anyone have any questions? I can't see everybody's heads, so I can't tell who's shaking.
Okay, last slide. Last slide, I always try to put something in there about the future. Oh, I wish I had a crystal ball. We do not. We do know that for the short-term future, for the rest of this school year, that we heard loud and clear in the staff survey, just to leave things the way that they are. What everyone probably in the community does not understand is this is the toughest style of teaching. They have in-person A day, in-person B day, in-person 4 days a week, everyday students, and remote students. I don't know how they keep all that straight. So we are very proud of our plans. We always have been. We have seamless transitions into full remote when we need to do that. And not many districts can say that. We have had very few learning changes from our original plan that we brought to you in the fall that we spent the spring and summer planning. So we need to be proud of our staff for that consistency and the board. We will continue to finalize our summer school plans and share that information with parents and of course to the board. Then we will move into fall planning. Things change weekly, you know that. We just got the CDC guidance and there's going to be probably 2 or 3 weeks worth of interpretation of what that guidance is. Remote learning will surely be a mandate. You've heard me say that over and over again. The liability concerns about 6 feet that we hear repeatedly, that will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what our insurance company says about that and what our own law firm says about that. And we are still concerned about staff shortages in the fall. So that 90-day vaccination period where we don't have to quarantine and things are a little bit different, that's for 90 days and that will be over. So in addition to that, our staff will have their own children that will still be a factor in their own absences where they're ill or they have to quarantine. Well, somebody has to stay home with their own children. That would be our staff. So there's a lot of things to consider. We are very hopeful that our antigen testing will reduce those length of absences. So that we'll be able to have some of that data pretty soon, but we've not even really started that yet. That starts next week. So last slide just summarizes the 3 topics that are being recommended for board approval. One is the board metrics, one is March 4th and 5th, and then the antigen changes, just that accepting the negative results as the health department said. And it does align with our doctor standing order. I went and picked those up from the doctor's office yesterday. So the doctor has approved for us to use the antigen tests in this way. Comments?
Anybody have any questions for Michelle or anything?
Yeah. Now the time, Bill, or you want me?
Almost ready, almost ready.
All right.
If nobody has any questions or comments, then like the superintendent had mentioned, the 3 things that we're trying to consider tonight are the updated board metrics, making March 4th and 5th full remote days, and the antigen test changes. So now it's open for discussion, and we have Mr. Graham. The floor is yours now, sir.
Thank you. I mean, so I don't think it's any secret my position on getting kids in school and wanting to get there. And I'm very appreciative that our community has been able to afford our teachers a chance right here in Rantoul to get vaccinated. And I got pleasure of seeing lots of our staff come through the youth center the last couple of weeks, and Mr. Sweat happened to pop in there as well. And I would like to see us back to 4 days a week, full days. And I realize that might not be an option for this school year. And I would love to see that up, but I would almost guarantee I would not get board support for that if I recommended that. But at the very least, and I spoke with Michelle a little bit about it today, and it makes sense to me, is removing all the metrics, so to speak. And so I feel the metrics hand tie our staff and our administration in closing classrooms too soon or closing buildings too soon. I think we can trust that Michelle is a professional, like Joan said earlier, to make decisions. She's already contacting the health department on all of our positive cases, and she surely would not make a decision to make our students unsafe. But I'd like to get rid of all the metrics tonight and just go about and use the guidance from the health department locally to close classrooms and or buildings down from here.
Okay. Any other board members have any comments?
I got one more question then, Bill. And Michelle, even with going 4 days a week, we don't talk about it much, but why are we not considering going full school days with on the days that students do go? Why are we not looking at that?
Why are we not looking at students?
Going to 2:30 or 3 with a normal full day with the kids that are in school. I mean, before it was, we were worried about the teachers and the kids wearing masks all day and all those types of things. I mean, is that even considered an option for fourth quarter to go to 2:30 or 3?
Right, because these teachers also have to teach the students who are remote. So those students who are remote, they join the class for a little bit in the morning. This is elementary, a little bit in the morning, but then there's a whole, there's all kinds of instruction that happens in the afternoon with remote learners as well. So that's the hard part, is that we have in-person and remote learners that the teachers have to juggle. And I just feel that is, obviously these are things we'll consider for in the fall, if that's something that we can do for the fall, but making that change in how they're doing instruction, I think would just be too much for fourth quarter. I really do. In order for them to be able to reach all of the remote learners effectively.
And I can concede that, but like I said, I would like to see all the metrics removed so that way our administration's hands aren't tied, and we use the professional thoughts of the health department and our administration working hand in hand.
Okay. All right. Any other board members like to comment? If nobody else.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Michelle, do you feel your hands are tied with this?
I feel that the metrics are, and I did talk to Andy about this, I feel that the metrics are in place so that staff and parents feel that there is a level of decision that's already in place. I feel like what the changes we made to the metrics tonight give us a little bit more discretion to make some of those decisions. I can tell you that I much prefer these board metrics to the ones that we've had in the past for that reason. But if the board decided to not have metrics, we would still make decisions just as we have been, just as we would. Close contact, do we think there are too many cases in one class? When you start getting a couple of cases, 2-3 cases in one room, so I would probably, even if we didn't have the metrics, if we have 2 cases in one room, we're all getting a little nervous about that and need some time away. So
I was taught by a wise man once, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And I guess I just like having a plan that can be explained and you're not held accountable. You just did it because you wanted to. So if I'm voting against what you believe, I'm sorry.
Well, and my whole thing is this isn't unlike wanting definitions for the 3Ds. Here we're saying we're laying out board metrics so everyone is on the same page and there is no question about anything. So no, I do not believe that the metrics should be eliminated.
But in almost every situation we've had this year where we've had to close a classroom and or school, the response, the email that we've gotten has said, due to board metrics, we will be closing, but it's not because of spread in our building or anything like that. So it seems to me, I know we're trying to address that a little bit, but it's going to continue to get more and more frustrating that as a board member, we're getting emails that says, because our board metrics, we're closing this building.
This is updated. These metrics aren't as stringent as the ones before, and they align with the IDPH. So, I mean,
I agree that we have no proof that anything's been spread in school. That we really have, when we find close contacts or search for close contacts, we don't have any. But I am concerned when there are 2 or more cases in a classroom, and I know our teachers would be concerned and our parents, that I think that having that in place makes people feel secure that's a minimum of what's expected. Again, if you didn't have board metrics, that's probably what I would use anyway. If you were just going to leave it all up to me, and that's what I would do anyway. We started to see many cases, and a lot of it's family in one building. But if we didn't take some of these actions, I do worry that it would spread, and probably it would spread to our staff faster than students.
Well, you know, Michelle, what's concerning is all of these different variants that are coming out. And it's not that it's making people sicker, it's that they seem to be so much more contagious and spread so much quicker. So I'm comfortable with the metrics that you're recommending us to approve.
You know, and if you don't mind me saying, you know, Andy, I kind of like the idea a little bit, but then I get to thinking in the past that we had amended these before because we had some staff that had some concern, and that's the biggest thing right now. If we did not have the metrics in place, then there could be some staff that may have some concerns about actually participating in teaching. And as you know, there's other states that are having some serious problems with their teachers unions and getting teachers coming into the classroom. And so we just want to have our parents, students, and our staff feel safe to continue teaching at school so the kids won't even get further behind.
Right.
That's just my opinion. Anybody else have any comments? Questions? Concerns? If not, then would someone care to make a motion to approve the reopening plan updates as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the following reopening plan updates: the updated board metrics, the March 4th and 5th full remote days, and the antigen test changes.
Okay, the motion was made by Ms. Ulott. Someone care to second? I'll go on and second. Hold on. Who's that? Someone's trying to chart. Was that you, Mark?
I was about to, but you beat me. That's fine.
That's all right. No, Mr. Keys can second it. Okay. And then we'll need a roll call vote, please. Need a roll call vote?
Am I on mute? No, I'm on.
There you go.
Keys,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Hey, Joan. You're on mute.
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Ulott,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Graham,
No.
and Sweat.
Aye. Okay, and it looks like we have 6 in favor and 1 nay. Majority rules, so motion carries, and we approve the reopening plan updates. This moves on to item number 9. It's an action item. It's the TRS supplemental savings plan, and our superintendent will do that presentation. You ready, Michelle?
Yep, this will be a fast one. So a law was changed mandating that TRS provide a supplemental savings plan. For short, it's called SSP. An employee may participate in that SSP through TRS, but neither the board nor an employee is required to contribute to it. So this public act requires TRS to provide a deferred compensation plan. TRS covered employees are required to offer the plan to employees. So full-time and part-time contractual TRS covered employees are eligible to participate in the SSP. The agreement that we're asking you to approve tonight is required to be formally adopted by the board and submitted to TRS in order for eligible employees to participate in this SSP plan. The deadline for adopting that is supposed to be the end of March, because the employers we must have adopted the SSP prior to the go live date of the plan. After the SSP is available, members may go in through what's called VOIA at any time. There are many legal particulars still being sorted out, but our law firm stated that the minimally we can ask for this resolution or agreement to be approved tonight. And then we'll find out more details and information as we go along. So just need a motion to approve the TRS Supplemental Savings Plan Resolution.
Michelle, I just have one question.
Mhm.
So this is a deferred compensation plan, so that's going to be part of the state's plan that's already existing. The plan administered as zero price. Do you
That's,
know?
yeah, that's one of the, that's one of many questions that we don't particularly have an answer to. So right now we do have a savings plan that people can use. It's through Omni. We have a third party, Omni. But so what we don't know the answer to is it Omni that would oversee this? Or do we have to oversee this? Because we certainly don't want to be in that business and oversee it. Those answers aren't provided for us. Some boards have, some superintendents have not put this forward to the board yet for approval. Our law firm says it's law. It doesn't matter. You have to agree to this, but then we'll work out the particulars later. So I don't have a lot of answers for you. If we could wait another month, and I have no problem, there's no rush. It was something I put on the agenda tonight because we were pushed with this March deadline, but we could wait another month too. I don't know that we'll have a ton of more answers in March, but
I was going to say, it's a TRS, so you probably still won't have any answers in March, let's face it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we just need a resolution,
yeah.
So we're good to move forward. I mean, I don't see a problem with it. And like you said,
right,
we'll figure it out as it goes along, right?
So the resolution doesn't say the district will oversee this, and
right.
We're just saying, yes, we know that the law is that we have to make this available to our employees.
It almost looks like TRS is going to do it because it says requires TRS to provide a deferred compensation, but I'm sure if they can get out of it, they will, but.
Yeah.
They'll probably just use the state's deferred compensation plan, which is a TRO price. It's a pretty good plan. So especially since I mentioned 457. So anybody else have any questions or comments? If not, then would someone care to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the TRS Supplemental Savings Plan Resolution as presented.
Okay, motion was made by Ms. Ulott. Mr. Keys, were you seconding it?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Keys, second. And then we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Keys,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Ulott,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, and that's unanimous. Motion carries. So it's been approved. This moves us on to item number 10, which is an action item. It's adoption of the resolution authorizing non-reemployment of full-time, non-tenured teachers not in last year of probationary service. So read that again. So this is adoption of resolution authorizing non-reemployment of full-time students, non-tenured teachers not in the last year of probationary service. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding that? If not, then would someone care to make the motion? And for all practical purposes, that's we have to do this every year anyway, so it's required.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mr. Graham made the motion. Someone care to second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Brotherton seconded. And we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Ulott,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. And looks like that's unanimous. Motion carries. So the resolution has been approved. This moves us to item number 11. It's an action item, and it's the summer schedule for building administrators. And the superintendent will do that presentation.
All right, short and sweet. We would like to provide an opportunity for our building administrators to work up to 20 extra days in the summer per building. So that's if the principal does it, all 20, then it's the principal. If they share it with the assistant principal, then that's still 20 days total for the building. That is needed for lots of planning this summer. Hiring, there's a lot of hiring that happens in the summer. And the big one is summer school supervision for all of those programs that are happening. And that will be at a daily rate. And this is just just for your information, in many districts the principals are 12-month employees, and they are not 12-month employees in our district.
All right. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, then would someone care to make the motion? Looks like Joan's getting ready to.
Well, I just unmuted myself, so when I voted, I wasn't, but I'll make the motion.
Okay, so Joan's going to make the motion to approve the summer schedule for building administrators for the summer. Anyone care to second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Ms. Ulot. And we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Keys,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Ulot,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, and it looks like that's unanimous. Motion carries. So the summer schedule has been approved. This moves us on to item number 12. It's an action item. It's administrative contract for the Director of Special Education. Anybody have any? It didn't look like it was going to be a presentation here. So anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns that the superintendent can address during open session?
So her contract ends this year, correct?
Correct.
And we do not want to lose her, correct?
Oh, no way.
She's done a great job.
Yes, yes, we would be lost.
Yes.
Anybody else have any questions or comments, concerns? If not, then would someone care to make the motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve our Director of Special Education administrative contract for the next 3 years.
Okay,
Thank her very much.
I'll
okay.
second that, and appreciation here as well.
All right, so Ms. Ulot made the motion. Ms. Fitzgerald seconded. So we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Graham,
Aye.
Ulot,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. And that looks like it's unanimous. Motion carries and the contract has been approved. And just for those in attendance, this is going to be a new 3-year contract with a 3% salary increase. This moves us on to number 13, which is an action item. It's the updated job description, and it's job descriptions. This is for human resource manager, human resource and payroll administrative assistant, renamed, and then finance and technology administrative assistant. At this time, anybody have any questions?
So this isn't a reallocation of any money. It's just strictly updating their job descriptions as things have evolved in central office and everything, correct?
Correct. Yep, we had a shift of, people who were in the office, and we looked at job duties again. So yes,
Okay.
and no money,
A financial
Yep.
change, okay.
just job description, correct.
All righty. Thank you, Sandra. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, then would someone care to make the motion? All right, I'll make the motion to approve the job descriptions for as presented.
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Mr. Keys. And then we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Ulot,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. And that looks like it's unanimous. It's been approved, so we can go on and proceed with updating the job descriptions. Next thing is item number 14. It's an action item. This deals with personnel report. So has everybody had a chance to review the personnel report. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns that could be addressed during the open session?
Before I have hear from any board that have questions, I would like to just publicly acknowledge that due to Wendy Starwalt, who's principal at Pleasant Acres, due to her retirement at the end of this year, which we are very sad about. Happy for Wendy, sad for RCS. We are excited to announce that we have reassigned and named the principal to be Sammy Sebestic. She is currently the East Lawn assistant principal, and she is being named and is on your personnel report tonight to be the PA principal.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, then would someone care to make the motion to approve the personnel report as presented, including with the stipulation that each individual is required to comply with all requirements for new hires as indicated in Illinois statutes and RCS board policy and procedures? Since I read it, I said I'll make the motion. Anyone care to second?
I'll second.
Okay. So Mr. Brotherton seconded, and then we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Graham,
Aye.
Ulot,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. And another unanimous, motion carries, so the personnel report has been approved. We move on to item number 15. It's an action item. It's a resolution authorizing and directing the sale and or disposition of personal property in accordance with 105 ILCS 5-10-22.8. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
And for the public, it's just a routine annual thing that we do. We must do this in order for the superintendent to start getting rid of some of the old dilapidated property that is just doing nothing but wasting space. So if nobody has any questions, comments, or concerns, then would someone care to make the motion?
I so move.
Okay, Ms. Ulad made the motion to adopt a resolution authorizing and directing the sale and or disposition of personal property in accordance with 105 ILCS 5/10-22.8. Anyone care to second?
I'll second.
Okay, all right. I think Mr. Keys beat you on that one, Bill. I'm
He
sorry.
did. He turned green before I did.
Okay, so Mr. Keys seconded. So we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Ulot,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Motion carries and the resolution has been adopted. Next item is number 16. It's an action item. It's approval of general release agreement with vortex flooring. This is related to the Department of Justice lawsuit with Vortex regarding allegations of impropriety with bidding. Although we did not have any bidding, we still are part of the lawsuit. As a result, we will be awarded $66,000. The general release is only related to the bidding process and not for any structural issues for the flooring. Anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding this issue?
I think you left one word out, so I just want to make it clear that we did not have any bidding concerns. We did bid.
I read that. I said we didn't have any bidding concerns.
Okay.
You didn't say bidding, I don't think.
No, you missed it.
You
I
missed
did?
bidding. Yeah.
Yeah,
You didn't say.
Okay, my bad then. Okay.
That made it sound like we
Okay.
didn't do any bidding. And I'm like, yeah, we did bidding. We
right.
have no bidding concerns. Our process, there was no concern with our process, but we're still part of the lawsuit. And yes, we got $66,000. So
Okay, well, that sounds good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you already have it spent, don't you? So, anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, oh, Jennifer thought that was funny, huh? Okay. If not, then someone care to make the motion?
I so move.
Okay, Mr. Keys made the motion to approve the general release agreement with Vortex Flooring in the amount of $66,000. Anyone care to second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Fitzgerald, and we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Ulot,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. That motion is carried, which has been approved. Item number 17, it's an action item, and it's Mina Thompson demolition, and it's by Ms. Frericks.
Yes, so we would like to request, we haven't talked about Mina Thompson in quite a while, but we would like to request that we can move forward with gathering more updated information. I think it's been quite a few years since we looked into the demolition and asbestos abatement of Mina Thompson, and we would like to gather more current information. The reason that we'd like to do that at this time, as many of you know, last year, the federal government released the CARES Act, which provided our school district with additional funding under the Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief Act, which we call ESSER. They have just in December done a second round of coronavirus relief, a second act. And so we are looking at some additional funding that will be coming in. Those funds are specifically targeted toward technology and facilities. And so our hope is that by being able to apply those funds to support maintaining the safety in our schools through and the educational piece with technology, that it can offset some of our local costs, and we can look again into the benefits of the demolition of Mina Thompson.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Comments?
Yay.
Yes. Do it. So
Really.
moved.
Okay, well, thank you, Jennifer, for your presentation. So without any further ado, would someone care to make that motion?
I do. Yes.
So Mr. Graham makes a motion to approve pursuing demolition of Mina Thompson with details forthcoming for board final approval.
And I'll second that.
And it's seconded by Ms. Ulot.
Yes.
So we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Fitzgerald,
Nay.
Graham,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Ulot,
Aye.
Sweat.
Abstain. Okay, so we have what, 5 in favor, 1 nay, and 1 abstaining. Okay, so it's motion carries. And you can go on and pursue.
Can I-
Yes,
May I explain my nay?
sure can if you'd like to.
Yes, I know we need to get that place to the ground. I just hate taking money away from our children's education to do it. I know some of it's supposed to go to facilities, but I would rather improve the facilities we have. And that's the only reason I voted against it.
Okay, thank you, Joan.
Can I follow up with one thing about one of the things that we're looking at is long-term savings, because we still do pay annually a fair amount for insurance, electricity, the maintenance of the facilities outside. So this is a long-term savings. It's
Right.
just an initial cost. So.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I understand that. Thank you for explaining more about it. I should have asked.
Okay, Joan. All right, if there aren't any further comments or anything like that, we'll move on to item number 18. It's an action item, and it's regarding some memorandums of understanding. There's 4 of them. We have one, which is
There's 3, isn't there?
I'm sorry, it says 4 here, but it looks like there's 3. Okay.
There are four. There are 4. C is the same MOU, but we have 2.
Oh, bargaining.
So, yep. Very
Okay,
confusing.
well, put it this way. We have some memorandums of understanding to review and approve this evening. We have the RCESPA/RCS custodial summer schedule. It's an annual MOU regarding summer schedule. And then we have the RCSEA/RCS track coach. We're adding an assistant track coach for the 2021 season. And then the RCSEA, RCS, and the RCESPA/RCS rapid antigen testing and COVID leave days. These are employees. This is employees' use of COVID leave days and antigen testing. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding these MOUs?
No.
If not, then would someone care to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandums of understanding for custodial schedule, assistant track coach, and the rapid antigen testing with COVID leave days.
Okay. Motion was made by Ms. Ulott. Anyone care to second?
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Mr. Brotherton. And we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Ulott,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Motion carries and the memorandums of understanding have been approved. All right, this moves us on to item number 19. It's an action item. It's the forum fitness agreement. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the forum fitness agreement? Nobody has any questions? Well, for the public, just to let you know that the agreement, it's just that RCS has agreed to pay $5 per employee for the total number of employees as of February 19th, 2021. In return, any employee of Rantoul City Schools can purchase an annual Forum Fitness Center membership at the large business rate as follows. And they list the prices here. For the youth age 14 to 17, the regular price is $175. They get discount of $130. If it's an adult age 18 to 64, the regular price is $275, but they can get a discount price of $170. And for seniors age 65 plus, instead of $175, they can get it for $130. Any board members have any questions, comments, or concern regarding this?
And just to clarify, just so that's not confusing, it's for 100 employees for the total cost of 500. So
Yeah.
if it may have sounded like we pay $5 for every employee in the district. So it's up to 100. And I realize that's how the contract is worded at the top, but at the bottom it explains 100.
Have we had 100 employees take advantage of that ever?
I do not believe that we've had 100. I can find that out, but.
Okay, good question. Anybody else have any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, then would someone care to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the annual agreement with the Forum Fitness staff discount as presented.
Okay, motion was made by Mr. Keys.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Brotherton seconded. So we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Robinson,
Aye.
Graham,
I need to abstain because of my employment with the village.
Brotherton,
John, you're on mute.
Aye.
Robinson. Oh, I'm sorry. Keys,
Aye.
Ulott,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, it looks like we have 6 in favor, 1 abstain. So it's been approved.
Was I called? Did I vote?
No, I don't think you did. I'm sorry.
She's not on here.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bill was on here twice.
You were, sorry.
Okay, so now we had 5 in favor. That should be 6 in favor, 1 abstention. So motion carries. and we'll go on and approve the agreement. This brings us to item number 20. It's an action item. It's a special board meeting. As we discussed at the last couple of board meetings with the upcoming election, there isn't a guarantee that the canvas will be done in time for our next board meeting in April. So therefore, we were recommending that we schedule a special board meeting just in case, so that we can have a smooth transition of power. The recommendation is that we hold a special board meeting on the 27th of April, so we can canvass the votes and then do the transfer, do the changeover. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Is that a Tuesday?
Now you have me pull out the calendar.
Wait, if it's on the 6th, the 13th, the 20th, yeah, that's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Because the 6th is on Tuesday.
You sure?
It is a Tuesday.
Okay, it's Tuesday, it's 27th. Does board members have any questions, comments, or concerns? Are we ready to go on and confirm that date? Or would you like to think about it and do it at the next board meeting?
We just might as well do it.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. And if the new board members can't be here, then we'll have to reschedule it anyway. So
If we're not running, do we have to come?
That is.
Yes.
Yeah, you would, yes, because that would be your last meeting, and we do want to say goodbye.
Oh, but it's a Tuesday. You can't come on Tuesday, can you?
No, but that's okay. You've already said goodbye to me once. I'm sorry.
It's okay. If we don't have any further comments or questions or concerns, would someone care to make the motion to add the special board meeting on April 27th?
I'll make a motion to have the special board meeting on April 27th.
Okay, motion was made by Ms. Fitzgerald.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Brotherton. And we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Ulot,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Graham,
aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Motion is carried. So we scheduled the special board meeting on the 27th of April. Excuse me. Next item is 21. It's an information item only. We have teacher prep programs with RCS. Michelle?
Sure, I'm just gonna bring this to the board's attention. RCS, we're involved in some programs to support or more people to enter the teaching profession. You've kind of heard a little bit about some of the concerns with that tonight with our social equity working group. But we're really looking to support people who may not do a traditional four-year college. And we're also looking at candidates specifically of color for that. So the three things that we have going is that we're partnering with Eastern Illinois University for their Grow Your Own project. And that's designed to support non-traditional teacher preparation. So RCS has a seat on their advisory council. Another option that we have is that RCS is a partner with the Golden Apple. And we anticipate hosting at least one teacher candidate next year through this program, which is another non-traditional teacher prep program. And then just a reminder that starting last spring, RCS is providing tuition to 2 current employed teaching assistants to grow our own teachers. And the whole intent is when they are finished with their program upon completion of student teaching, of which they will continue to be our employees. Because that's a hardship for a lot of people is during student teaching, they're not typically paid. After they're finished, they will work for RCS as teachers.
Cool.
So just wanted to bring you up to date on the efforts that are happening at RCS.
Okay. All righty.
That's all.
Okay. The next item is our next board meeting. It's a reminder. It's going to be on March 11th at 6:30. and it's going to be a week early due to spring break. The next thing is the Carl Mobile Clinic. Will be here on April 26th for incoming K through 6th grades. And then we did have some FOIAs. There was one from Joe Sutton. It was for contracts for website, alert emergency notification, mobile app, and learning management system. That cost was $69.92. That was all employee costs. And then we have for the Illinois Retired Teachers Association, and it was strictly employee cost only, which was $24.67.
And can I just clarify that that mobile clinic is for kindergarten and 6th grade, not kindergarten through 6th grade? Just
All right, for kindergarten and 6th grade.
not all the grades.
Not all the grades, just for those going to kindergarten and those going into 6th grade. Okay. Just around the table here, since this is information item only, well, actually, we have board superintendent comments. Before I get into something here, does any board member have any comments or anything they want to bring up at this time before I go to superintendent? Because normally I go to superintendent first, then the board. Nope. Okay. Ms. Ramage, do you have any comments that you'd like to make at this time? Nope. All right, then. For the board members, on February 25th, we had the virtual Illini Division meeting. And then again on April 29th, we had the virtual Illini Division Governing Board. Chandra, would you like to say something about the governing board meeting that's coming up?
Well, our governing board meeting is when we elect our division officers. Each school district is allowed to have one governing person or one person from your district vote. Since I don't know if I'll be reelected, I don't know if I'll be there. I normally am our representative because I'm a division resolutions chair. If I don't get reelected, obviously I won't have that position anymore. So the division governing board is really an important meeting. It's different having it virtual because we normally get together and have dinner and have a lot of good discussion. But I guess I would say on the 27th, we'll decide who will be our person on the 29th, because it might not be me.
Okay.
So if I do get reelected, then I would be, because I am a chairperson, I would be the one going for casting a vote. And chances are I probably will not get reelected.
Of course you will.
You never know.
You know,
Of course you will.
I mean, for the chair, there are people who would like an opportunity, and I've encouraged people to,
Yes,
you know, it's a good learning opportunity. So,
And also that means, just to clarify, anybody can attend the meeting. Only one person
can vote, right?
Right. So anybody can attend the meeting to get, because I've
Right,
gone to
right.
meetings before, but I don't get to vote, and other board members can't vote. So that's what Sandra means, is that there'll need to be a decision made as to who should help, because you want the district represented and you want somebody to cast that vote. So
right. And I don't even know. Well, no, I think if I'm a division chair, I think that I am the board's representative. But yeah, anyone can attend that meeting, and especially I say do it because it's virtual. The 25th, I don't know if any of you are going to attend that, but isn't that our candidates?
that's the same night as the candidate forum. Yeah. The school board candidate forum is the same night. So I did send the information out, and you would have already received it as well from IASB. But if you're not going to watch the candidate forum and you want to attend this, or you can attend this and then watch the candidate forum later, let me know and we can help you get signed up.
Okay. All right, then. considering we dropped number 23 and 24 from the agenda, that moves us to item number 25. Anyone care to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I so move.
Okay, Ms. Ulot made the motion to adjourn this meeting. Who seconded it? Was that Mr. Keys?
I'll second.
Okay. Or was it, okay, Mr. Keys seconded, so we'll need a roll call vote, please. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. Robinson,
Aye.
Brotherton,
Aye.
Ulot,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
what?
Aye. And it's unanimous, motion carried. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you everyone for attending, board members and those out in the public who attended on our website. So be safe, everyone. Good
Thank
night.
you, guys. Good night.
All right.
Stop recording, Nakia.